Call the meeting to order at 7:00 p.m. Yay! Vote on the minutes from August 12th. A motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
I would like to suggest one small addition under Director's Report, Section B, where it just says forward the estimate from Gail. Can we say the estimate for exploring the flashing? That sort of comes later, but I don't know.
For the estimate that, can you say it again, just so I get it? What you want to add?
After the word estimate,
Yeah.
for exploring the flashing, or to explore.
Do we need a motion?
No,
We can just, with the change, we can put it in with the change.
are there any further comments, suggestions, whatever? All in favor?
With the change, yeah.
With the change? Unanimous, thank you. We do not have any publics today. So we will move on to the director's report.
All right. Hello, everybody. So we had another pretty busy month. Not quite as fast and furious as well as the rest of the summer was. I think it just was the dog days. People went on vacations, and I also think that perhaps the temporary site for library operations in Amherst, once it opened and people got the hang of where that was, and that they could do a lot of their business there, picking up their holds and things, some of the craziness abated here, but it was still very busy. We were still 20% higher than last year in terms of circulated items, so items borrowed across the counter. So it's still a huge increase, but I think in the last couple of months we saw increases much larger than even that. Patron count was also up 7.5% over the same month last year, so that's still big numbers in normal times, but not quite as bad as it had been. A couple of things that I'm just going to go straight to, because there are items that I would like the trustees to take action on. The first one
Can I
yeah.
insert something here quickly?
Of course.
Tuesday, there was a patron in the library who was interested in using the computer, and all of them were occupied, and the individual came to the circulation desk and made some comment, and Sue responded by saying, if you wait just a few minutes, one of them will be available, at which point the individual made some comment about Amherst and why are they here and so on and so forth, and he left in something of a huff. I don't think that's fair, but I just want to let you know that in this climate, there is some not in my backyard kind of.
Yeah, well, of course, I mean, generally, the majority of people, first of all, I don't really want to dignify that too much because we don't require people to have a library. We don't require anything for people to come in. They're able to walk in and help themselves. If we do find that we're having people waiting, we will ask people who's been on the longest, and we just deal with people in a reasonable way. We don't.
He wasn't interested in that, though.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Which
and he left, but
right.
But we, what I would say to that is that we do. I mean, there are a number of things here that where we're dealing with scarcity
Mhm.
and demand outstripping supply. The computers are one of them. However, in the case of the computers, we have used the
Right.
capital
Oh, yeah, yeah,
funds
yeah.
to purchase 5 more computers. We did get the replacement monitors. I don't remember if we talked about this at the last meeting because they may not have arrived yet, but basically the way these are configured, the computers that we have currently are all-in-one units, so all they are is basically it's all in the monitor. It just looks like it. It doesn't have a CPU. For various reasons, we went with a new configuration where there is actually a separate monitor with a small CPU unit that clips onto the stand for the monitor. When they arrived, it turned out that the monitors they ordered for us weren't compatible with the stands, so they had to be returned, and we had to get replacement monitors. So we now have the 5 computers complete that we purchased, and I now am in the process of getting them assembled and out into the places where they're going to be set up for the public to use. It's taken me a little while, and then there's going to be a networking component that I have to get people lined up to complete with me, both CW Mars and our independent consultant that I work with to do some of the setup, some of the things that are specific to us that are not CW Mars related. So it's a little bit of a logistical challenge, but they will be up and running soon. There'll be 3 new public computers in the adult section, giving us 9 of the 12 spaces that are set up for public computers will be full. If we feel that the demand is still there, we can always talk about filling those other 3. We have, we can look at drawing the funds from available funds elsewhere to get the other 3 in place, and then all 12 slots would be filled. And at that point, we're looking at a larger problem if those are, if we're still looking at wait times. We need to have a different discussion. And then the other 2, one I believe, I'm forgetting. I think one is going in YA or one is in children's. It actually may be 2 in YA. I had the conversation with them, and we
Did it change?
we had different conclusions at the end of both of those conversations, and I don't remember which one came first. So it may be 1 in each or 2 in the YA.
Patrick, can I
yes.
interrupt you? I'm sorry.
Of course.
For some reason, you've been sending the director's report to like the email that I can't get attachments, like our computers aren't compatible.
Is it the Gmail?
It's not coming to my Gmail, so I don't have the director's report.
I'm very sorry.
Thank you.
Did I send it to your charter account? I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's fine. I just wanted to take minutes and have it, that's all.
Of course, yeah. Okay, so the things that I wanted to talk about very quickly tonight were, first of all, out of deference to the wishes of the staff, and because I think it will be sort of not really worthwhile for anyone's time, I think on Wednesday, December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, and Wednesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, and these are Wednesdays, I'd like to ask that the library close at 5 p.m. rather than 8 p.m. because I don't think there will be anyone in the building at those times, and I don't think there's any reason to ask any staff to be here for that. So, of course, people will be using their own personal leave time to take that. It's not paid holiday time. The town has official paid holidays. When we close in that way on a time that's not an official town holiday, it's because the staff have agreed that it's worth it to take 3 hours of vacation or personal time or comp time. Just the way it works. You can't fight City Hall.
That's fair.
Well, the town does give us 10 holidays throughout the year, which I mean, personally, in my opinion, I think that's quite fair. But this is one of those things where
Just the way it falls.
it just doesn't really make sense to be here at 8 o'clock on
No.
New Year's
I
Eve,
was
so.
thinking, but if you're moving the workday up, they're still.
Well,
working
yes, I mean, if
full day.
staff want to come in, the thing is, we're not going to open earlier. We open at 2 on Wednesday, and normally we close at 8. So we're still going to open at 2, but we'll only be open for the 3 hours until 5. And
To
if
the
people want to
public.
come in and do behind the scenes work, if they want to do paperwork or ordering or other administrative things, they can still come in. If they don't want to use their vacation time, they can still do that
I would-
and don't have to be here in the evening.
I
So we have
would-
that flexibility.
I would vote with that to
Yes.
be an option.
Why don't you make a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Second, all in favor? Or any further discussion first? All in favor? Okay.
Wonderful.
I didn't vote in favor.
No, you're not voting in favor?
Oh,
Do you have a question?
I do have a question. I'm
Yes.
just concerned, given that we kind of do that, like allot people's hours to unopened library time
Excuse me.
right
Wait.
now.
I will point out that when July 5th fell on a Friday, which was not an official holiday, Town Hall was locked to and closed to the public.
Okay.
You can, I'd like to.
I just want to make sure we're making a, I'm not trying to be
Yeah,
We are not
aggressive, I'm
being
trying to-
outside the town norm.
Right, that's what
I think
I'm,
we would, first of all, we would be the only department that, I mean, aside from like public safety, that would be open that late, because nobody else is open that late, just as a normal weekly schedule. But was there, that was your point, just we didn't want to be an outlier?
yeah, I just want
I
to
didn't
make
hear-
sure in how we're
Yeah.
thinking this through and like, kind of given
It's-
the financial constraints of town that we're putting through that.
The work, believe me, there's so much work to be done. It's actually a welcome thing to have like a couple of hours to be able to do it with the building closed. The time will be put to good use either way. And if people want to use their vacation time, they'll just not be here that day, and that's their choice and that's their time. They've earned it. So, so we will make sure that the public are aware that we'll be closed at that time on those 2 days. And to Lynn's point, it's not unusual for town hall to do that from time to time when they have a number of people going away, over the holidays and things like that.
So my motion still is on the table.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Oh, yes.
There were 5 in favor. Do we have 6 in favor, Joe? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next thing that I wanted to ask was about you may have seen we had a quote from BG Mechanical for, this is one of those things that, again, goes back to either the design or the installation of the equipment for the HVAC system. When the folks come in to change the filters, we have like these cassette units, this is all heat pump, HVAC. When they come in to change the filters up in the ducts, up above the ceiling, there have been a few times where they've come in and they said, we have it on this list that there are supposed to be X number of filters to change, and we can only find X minus 2 or whatever it is. And so about it, I would say, I don't remember what it was, but within the last year, we had to go through this previously where they went into the local history room and found where that unit was that needed to be changed, that hadn't been changed in 4 years. And we're like, we found it, and in order to change it, we have to remove and reconfigure the ductwork because the ductwork is under the unit, so you can't open it to change the filter.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. My thought exactly. So they've discovered that this has happened again for, let's see, it says furnishing the labor material for the replacement of one condensing walking cooler. That's not what this is.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
That's,
Is that where we're going to head
We're
inside
chilling,
of
right?
the-
so that it included, I think this is accurate. Demo is necessary to make room for new ducting with filter rack. Furnish and install new insulated ducting with filter rack. Filter to match existing filter size. Cover existing filter hole and unit. I will follow up with them to make sure, because this proposal part is that description seems odd to me. There is no walk-in cooler here. But assuming that this is correct, the quote for this work is $5,470. I understood that there was more than one of these units that they had to address, but we'll follow up and make sure that is actually the case. So I would recommend authorizing up to $5,470 for this work. Hopefully it's less, but.
Julie has a question.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Julie. Yes.
Yeah, hi Patrick. I'm sure I should have understood all the description and HVAC and what needed, but basically we are going to reroute it so that we don't run into this problem again?
Correct.
I mean, this isn't just for the filter work, it's for actually renovating it so that you can get to the filter without removing everything else?
Exactly, so that every time that they do
Okay,
this every
good.
like 6 months or whatever the increment is.
Yeah, the
that they're
schedule
able to
is.
get at it, because it's basically buried under a duct.
Boy, another anomaly that didn't need to happen.
Exactly.
That there's something about a refrigeration unit in there gives me pause to go forward with it.
Well, so that's what I'm saying is, we know that there's a problem because the people were here and I spoke to them at the time. I feel like the wording of this proposal is problematic, which I'm going to have them go back and address that to make sure that it's correct. So that's why I'm asking for the board to authorize up to a certain amount. We'll get them to fix this and make sure that it's accurate. If the bottom line, comes down because, there's something wrong with this, there's something wrong with the proposal other than, fixing the language of the description, we'll make sure that it's correct that they're doing that. They're not gonna fix something, there's no walk-in cooler here, so they can't fix that.
Basically,
Try as they might, there is no walk-in cooler.
basically, we would give Patrick the authorization to act on our behalf to make sure that the bill is right and to pay it.
Okay, so
To
when
order
you
it
see
and pay
that
it.
We'll make sure that they do the work
Yeah.
that's required.
certified that they do the
Yes.
work, yeah,
Yes.
that's a biggie, that's not a minor thing.
Yes.
So,
Well, if they're an HVAC company, you could see them sort of transposing some of
Copy
those
and
words.
pasting,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've all done it at one time or another.
Is there any further discussion about this? If not, may I please have a motion to authorize expenditure up to $5,470 for the filter work?
So you have Julie making the
So
motion?
moved. Yeah,
Second?
that's okay.
Any
So you
further?
want this amount, not 5,500? You want 5,470?
Oh, it's the number that's on here.
Okay.
Have you worked with this company before?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay. I think those are the only two things that required action by the board, but I'll go through this very quickly. There are some interesting things here. So Gail was on site the beginning of this month. They were up on the roof. They did some testing, removing of materials to get into where they can see how the flashing is installed beneath the surface, where it's not visible from the exterior, so they can make sure that it is functioning the way that it is supposed to. I don't have the report. I did talk to John Krupewski this week, and he said that we should have a report in hand by next week. So we will have it in time to discuss at the next meeting of the board. And at that point, we should have a better sense of what's going wrong and why, whether it's a roofing problem, whether it's a flashing problem, whether it's a caulking problem around windows, and hopefully we'll have some prescriptive recommendations for how we can address these. And then we can start to make an educated decision. We'll have to have a meeting with the town administrator and others, perhaps from the select board, to make a decision about what is the path that we want to follow as far as addressing any moisture issues in the roof.
Is there still leakage?
I haven't seen any leaks, but it has not been a very wet.
We've had a historically dry last couple of months.
I know.
Nothing is happening right now, but that doesn't surprise me because it hasn't. Some of the issues that we had were almost anomalous in that they seemed to be at times where it was rain, but it was also wind driven, where wind was driving water up under something that it normally wouldn't because it was just, high wind. So it's hard to know, but we haven't had anything new that I'm aware of in some months, but it's
Okay.
been dry.
We have had a couple of serious rains. They didn't last for a long time.
Yeah,
they-
but nothing that I've seen, nothing new has been reported, and I haven't,
That's
when it was happening previously in my office, there was always a tap, 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 I could hear it coming in, and, we put a bucket there. So anyway, so that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing that report, and I feel like this has been a good process. I think we know more than we ever wanted to know about that roof and other related conditions. Lead application, I finally got an update from Phil O'Brien and Johnson Roberts Associates on the status of that. I did ask, what is the status? We were asked for some documents that we'd actually already provided to them back in 2022. And I pointed that out, showed where we had done that, and asked what the status was. And Phil said that he was waiting on some data from his engineers to make the final submission. I don't have an explanation for why this has been hung up. There was none, and I didn't force the issue. But the fact that we were actually contacted by someone, also we were contacted by someone on the staff who seems to be of JRA, who seems to be overseeing the lead work. I think they may have lost someone. The person that we worked with previously went on to other things, and I think maybe they had a vacancy and no one doing the work. So they now have someone in place, and I now feel comfortable rattling the cage of that person and or Phil going forward to stay on track. I believe, as far as I'm aware, we have done everything that we're required to do to apply for this certification for LEED. And I will remind everyone, because this is such old business, that there is $100,000 of incentive money on the table should we receive the certification. So if this goes through and we are awarded LEED, just the basic level of LEED, which is what they're probably going for, we would get a $100,000 incentive payment from the Board of Library Commissioners for being a LEED certified building. So it is worth, it is worth the time and hassle in the end, I hope, and I do hope that we get that, because that would be really helpful in addressing some of the other issues that we have, that we have to address.
Could you remind me what LEED stands for?
Lead.
LEED, oh my gosh, someone look it
Jack,
up.
do you know?
No, I used
If
to.
Jack doesn't know, no one else is gonna know.
It's energy efficiency.
I'll look that up.
The L Library?
No,
No,
it's not.
they are
It's like low
construction.
energy something.
Even their website doesn't say it, I just looked up their website.
There are levels, there are standards for different levels to achieve in terms of energy efficiency.
Net zero, terms like that. So the
Right.
fact that the building would be like completely energy neutral in terms of its usage and generation.
It's leadership in energy and environmental design.
Okay.
Yes.
Julie, do you have a question?
Oh, sorry.
I do. Patrick, could you just refresh my memory about if there's a time limit on this application? In other words, does it have to be done within 5 years, 6 years? I know we've entered it, we've started, but to really complete it, is there a time limit on that or not?
Yeah, so this is a question that I have put to the Board of Library Commissioners, our liaison with the Board of Library Commissioners that we worked with on the tail end of the construction project. She's still there. When I've asked that question, she has not put a definitive timeline on it, but they want to be aware as a budgeting matter each year whether this is still a live issue that they need to be aware of, because if the certification comes through, they do want to award the incentive grant, but they need to know that they have to have that money set aside. So periodically, I will check in with her to remind them that we're still working on this. So yes, the question is that there is no like hard limit that I am aware of, and they are aware that we're working on it.
And we have been working on it for years. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked, yeah.
Might be worth getting something in writing about that we're not running out of time. That would be, if we can get something in writing.
Well, these are all in emails, so it is in writing, all the
So
conversations.
somewhere there is a
Yes.
clear definition that
Well,
we're.
it's not a clear definition, it's just that there's no hard deadline. The definition is that there's no hard deadline, according to the MBMC, that it's a budgeting matter that they need to know you're
Wow.
working on it. Because again, all of their projects are in flux, all of their projects are delayed or, they're not all delayed, but all of them are subject to circumstances beyond anyone's control. And so they just need to be aware of like what's in play and what they may be on the hook for. and they're aware of it.
Oh,
Okay, after hours meeting reviews, I just want to mention, I believe this was something that was on the list of goals, director goals for this year or for this contract. I haven't looked at that right now, but it's something that's been on my mind quite a lot over the past 6 months or so, as the demand for meeting space is, like the computers, outstripping the supply and available slots, because people are, they have lots of great and valid reasons to be wanting to come in and use these resources. And so I don't have any update on the actual townwide network that is going to allow this building to, along with all of the other buildings, to be networked through the town and have a town-wide access system with a card swipe system that you would have a card, you'd swipe yourself in. That I don't know anything about. I have asked a couple people at town hall about this, and there is no clear date for when that will be in place. It is very frustrating, but it is what it is. And so at this point, after we are coming up on the 5-year anniversary of occupying this building. We moved in right around Halloween of 2000. So it's coming up on 5 years. I think at this point we really need to, if not necessarily go our own way, we're not going to go and invest, I think at this point, in some alternative system to that, but we do need to come up with some perhaps down home.
Like a key?
Like a key. It's just a system for signing out a key. I mean, this is what other buildings do. We have done this with some of the official town boards and committees. We have allowed them to have after hours access. Other departments have used the library meeting room. Public safety has done trainings in here in the mornings when we're not in the building.
they all clear this with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we're looking at, go ahead, Jen.
You finished that.
Well, what we're looking at doing is sort of experimentally, and I say this with a great deal of emphasis, experimentally, we're looking at taking some reservations from, we're going to do this right now with one particular organization, because this is someone that, someone that I'm familiar with from town. Someone named Linda Castronova approached me about doing some fitness things. She belongs to an organization called Everyday Wellbeing, and we were trying to figure out a way for their organization to do some, various things they do, like yoga and various like therapeutic and fitness types of things. They're all free. They're community-based. They're a nonprofit. This fits within our, our mission for allowing people to use the meeting spaces. So that's all good. The question was, how are we going to accommodate it? So we in hashing this out with her, we decided that what we would do is again, as an experiment, to see how it would go and what issues might be raised by having unattended access in here that wasn't directly going through the town administrator's office, for example, that they would be doing for Sundays, for Sunday midday things through the end of the year. And we'd figure out what a good process was for this, for coordinating it, for making sure that at the end of the day before that, so we're open on Saturdays, not on Sundays, if the thing is happening on a Sunday morning, we have to make sure that the people have a key to get into the building, that they know how to lock the building up securely, and at the end of day on Saturday, that the staff have a process and procedure for making sure that the rest of the building is secured, locked from the inner doors in, so that people can't go into the rest of the building, but they have access to this room, to the kitchenette, and to the restrooms.
So we want to clarify
Yep.
that it's a separate key, right? For protection of all parties, like the inner part has a different
gonna be
key
different, yes.
than the exterior door.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to work on the process. I mean, we did have a staff meeting last week, and we talked through this a little bit. Sue and I will sit down and talk about it more thoroughly. She's the person here typically on Saturdays I mean, we're all gonna have to talk about it, but just for this Sunday experimental thing, she and I are gonna kind of talk through it and figure out what needs to happen on Saturdays. And get into what is actually going to be the process for people to get in. And I have a few ideas about that, but I won't get into here.
I think Julie had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Julie, did you have a question or no?
You gotta make a hooting
Oh, I
noise
just
or
had,
something.
yeah, but maybe this is not the moment.
Okay.
I wondered, Patrick, if you've
Yeah.
considered having a code, system on the door, keypad, so that the people who are coming in who aren't affiliated with the library at whatever times are designated have their own code.
Yeah, we're
And then they
gonna,
have to do it on the way out. But, there's a general, it would also be coded for, library administrative use.
see,
as well.
that is where we're going. That's the system that's intended for this building. That's kind of what that is. And I don't
Yeah.
want to spend a bunch of money on something that's sort of temporary. And I know that the town administrator's office does not want us to go that
Okay.
route because they want, again, the whole plan was to have all of these buildings using one system that can be sort of
Right.
tracked
Okay.
globally and have, this kind of just town level awareness of like what's going on in the buildings. And I will also mention that while we were having this conversation, at the same time, the town has adopted a building, the title of
They
it was
sent that out
Building
recently.
Security Policy and Procedure Document,
Yeah.
which gives kind of a baseline. It basically sort of is making sure that it's clear that if you come into a building after hours and you're part of a meeting or event, that you are responsible for your own belongings. It's a very simple, it's much more simplistic than the actual meeting room policy that the library has adopted.
Right.
So that it does not supersede that necessarily, but I think that they wanted to have something that would cover all town buildings, and they do have that in place, but it's not really any different or more detailed than what we have.
And I think that, I'm glad we're starting with one. I'm really glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
Thrilled. And I think it's important right now, and maybe just pointing out, when we go forward and we do it to more folks, for more folks, there's gonna be the issue of like, if there's a span, if the library closes at 3 o'clock on Saturday,
Yeah.
and 2 groups use it on Sunday, like, then the liability of who left the mess, that it gets a little more. So I'm glad we're starting with one, is my point, and I think it's like such a good
Yeah.
first step.
And these are the kinds of things that we're
Right.
going to have to like work through
Yeah.
and come up with like what are we doing here? And I do hope, again, I have a lot of faith in the people that we typically deal with. It doesn't mean that every situation is going to be flawless or run entirely smooth, but we generally have a great relationship with the patron base that uses these spaces. They're very respectful. I believe that will, I don't want to be naive. I know things will go wrong, but I do feel like with good, clear communication about expectations, that we're going to be okay. And where there's an obvious problem, we're going to come up with some sort of because it doesn't matter if there's a swipe system or something else.
Right,
If
that
there's
still
something
doesn't
left-
supersede, that's right.
Right, without direct supervision,
That's
there's no
right.
way of knowing.
But this is exciting for us, like, I
It's-
feel like this is what we built the building for.
It's
and
very
This is like a
exciting.
good moment for
Yeah,
us.
and I'm very happy about it because again, we have like a number of, we had today, just anecdotally, we had a local hospice organization that you've probably heard of calling us, very desperate at short notice to do some training. Because they had a number of people that couldn't fit it in their own offices, so they came to us and needed some space. And unfortunately, on the face of it, it was kind of like, it's after we close. But I said, like, look, the work that you do is very important to the community, and we want to support it. So we're going to make it work. So, but we get those calls every day, and it's just, the demand is there, and these are all good causes. They're all so important. So, we need to get this in place, and we really need to put a little pressure on it. We really need to get to a point where this system that's supposed to be here, that's supposed to have been here 5 years ago, is in place. And, all of this, of course, is against the backdrop of, like what's going on with the budget, what's going on with that. Because again, this is a whole other thing. This meeting room is a whole other thing in terms of like what we you know.
Ooh, and the smaller one too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, those all day long, that's constant.
No,
all
but
day
there's
long.
exterior access for that small one,
Yes,
the
which
small
at
one
this point,
next to
right,
it
and at
too.
this point, we have to decide, is that going to be on the table?
I think we
Yeah.
need to take this step, and this
Right,
is an exciting
exactly,
first
right.
step for
So
us.
There's so many things.
And I want to mark it, and
so
I'm
many
excited about it.
questions, So many details.
You can call Allison. Audrey, you got a question?
I do. Hi, Patrick. This says, after our meeting rooms, it says that the wellness retreat will be on October 24th.
Yeah.
That's a Friday. And then you mentioned the 4 Sundays, so I'm wondering, are we actually looking at
They're all
5
Sundays.
different things?
No, they're all Sundays. Let me see what have I done here. It must be the 26th. I'll have to go back to that, but I know it's a Sunday.
Okay, that Sunday's the 26th, so I just wanted to be sure that that was just a typo as opposed to
It's a typo.
4
I can
Sundays
find
plus
it. I
a
can find it
Friday.
now. Yeah, no, it's a Sunday, definitely.
Okay, fine.
I'm going to follow up on that. I will check it. I'm not going to check it right now because my phone is not cooperating, or I'm spelling her name wrong. Okay, there it is. I did spell it wrong. It's the 26th, Sunday, October 26th. My apology. Okay.
Do you need any assistance with that? Do you want any of those weeks for trustees to swing by, or no?
I think at this point, I have no problem with the group that's coming in here. I think it's going to be fine. I think it would be good, like, if you happen to be driving by, like, keep your eyes peeled just for a regular activity. But I think it's going to be fine. I have no actual concern about it. What I'm mostly concerned about is, and this is what we all agree as staff, is that once, and we're speaking about this publicly right now, but like once this becomes known that we're doing this, then the phone is going to ring off the hook for people wanting to do it. And that's why, again, I say with emphasis that this is an experiment. We're not ready to go live with this, but we have to have, a test case to make sure that this works.
And Linda will have a contact number just in case.
Yes, so we're going to have that figured out, like who are the contacts. And yet, more to your point, it may be that we may want to have, deliver like some sort of a schedule for people to be like on call on certain days that we make after hours.
I think that's a good idea because staff isn't here. I'd like to give a little pushback in that I'd like us to let the leash go a little bit and let folks be here. I've come for after hours things a few times for Patrick and had after hours things here. And I think, I like the idea of having someone on call if needed.
Yeah.
Happy to be a trustee on call. And you live in Orange, so to call you is a little, it's a little.
Call me if there's smoke.
So,
Don't even go there.
but I mean, if we're gonna be doing this, we've got, I'm kind of excited to let it fly. It's like our child, right? Let it fly a little bit.
It has to happen. It has to happen, and we have to kind of iron out the kinks here.
So are you suggesting that as a part of allowing people to use the room, we give them the name and phone number of someone who's on call? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, a local contact.
Yeah, or
So for
a
each
couple of
meeting-
people, just in case.
Yeah. This is going to have to be, there's going to have to be an addendum to what is already the meeting room policy that people get about what they can and can't do for, well, what do you do in case of a problem in the space when there's no staff around to go and, ask the question.
Right.
Obviously, if there's something really the matter, they need to just call 911 is what they need to do. Rather than like calling somebody if there's an actual
Wait, but if they can't
emergency.
figure out how to lock the door on the
yes,
way
that
out,
is-
or
those
how
are-
did that kitchen thing work, or whatever.
Those are
Like,
issues for that emergency contact.
So it's concern rather than emergency.
Exactly.
Yes.
So for each meeting that is allowed, we give them numbers or a number to call.
Yes, I mean, for these
First round.
four, it may just be me. It may just be me. Because again, I'll, you know, and then from there, I'll reach out to people being like, okay, this is what I heard from them. They're having this problem. You know, Lynn, I know you're around this weekend. Can you run by there to do whatever, or Joanne or Jack, whatever,
Yeah,
you know,
we
but
have to
right
make
now.
sure that person is available at
But
that
it,
particular
yeah,
time.
but if we're doing this 7 days a week, and it could be morning, it could be
Right.
night, we're gonna have to come up with like a bigger schedule of people's availability to take a call at 8 in the morning, if the meeting's 8 in the morning, or if it's, you know, 7 at night. It's a big deal.
Is there anyone at City Hall, at Town Hall that would take care of somebody who's already
That
on
was
duty?
not on the after hours.
No,
after hours,
public
no.
safety,
Public
yes,
safety, that's what I
but,
mean.
Yeah,
Something
but
like
again, if
worn out.
if it's an emergency, and
Yeah.
if it's an emergency, you're calling public safety anyway.
yeah.
And
But no,
public
we can't.
safety's gonna call me, so.
Yeah,
there
no,
you
if
go.
it's not an emergency, there's no one else here but us. Nobody but us chickens here. So we're gonna have to figure out if this is gonna work. And it's
Right.
going to have to be on us and the community around us. And so I'm gonna segue from that to, because there's really no action to be taken on this. It's just, we're gonna feel our way through it. But I wanted to mention, we had our first friends meeting of the season, on Tuesday, this just 2 days ago. It was a great meeting. It was great to see everybody there. We had a few new to the Friends folks in the room, including 3 former trustees, which was awesome. You know, we have been talking up the Friends all summer because, you know, this isn't necessarily just about the board and its seats, which at this point, I think there are a couple of vacancies. I'm not exactly sure how many there are, but there are at least a couple. This is really about building organizational strength around the library, using the Friends as that vehicle, because that's really the perfect vehicle for it. At the number of paid Friends memberships that I reported to the MBLC, which I got from the current president of the Friends, is around 200, which is a great number.
That's really.
It would be great to have 400. So that's what we're looking to not be complacent, but what we're looking to do is to build just that bench strength of the Friends to be useful in so many different ways. It could be part of the conversation that we're just having right now about the meeting room, about having rosters of people to do all kinds of things, because there are so many things to be done, and we're already so, I don't want to say over-reliant, because it's not over-reliant. We are like using so much volunteer labor, more volunteer labor than we have ever used before, by like orders of magnitude compared to when we were in the Goodwin Library, for instance. We're using we have so many volunteers right now that we're essentially getting from those volunteers the equivalent of a full-time staff position.
And what
Over the course
are
of the
these
year.
mostly doing?
All kinds of things. They're shelving books, they're processing materials, they're putting the
Receiving
stickers and the
books.
labels on things, they're helping with programs, they're helping out in the gardens. They're doing all kinds of things that if we didn't have those people, and if we weren't building the culture, I mean, the thing that I'm amazed about, and this is why I'm very heartened about the Friends and how people feel about the library within the community, is that there are a number of things. I get easily overwhelmed thinking about the number of things that have to be addressed here. And if I show up to work, I drive up and I look out and I think, oh God, look at that giant weed growing out of the garden bed or whatever, and so we've got to do something about that. But then I walk into the building and I get absorbed in the things that I'm supposed to be here doing, not necessarily thinking about weeding. And then I'll come out and I'll drive away at the end of the day and realize that someone was here and pulled that weed. Without me calling someone and asking them to do it, it happened. That there's this thing that's happening around the library, that people have this sense of ownership of it, that we don't have to call them up and say, hey, come and do this and come and do that. They're already doing it, and that's fantastic. That's an amazing feeling to be a part of something that people just show up and do it.
I did call to volunteer to shelf books or whatever needed to be done. And I was told we have too many, essentially, we have too many volunteers now, so
There's a waiting list.
don't call us, we'll call you.
Well, I mean, so for certain specific tasks, yes, that is true for certain things. But the Friends do so much more than just, what I'm hoping to do, what I'm hoping that the Friends will begin to accomplish is to, you know, they were already doing so much for our operations, supporting things financially, raising money, organizing, you know, great programs, speakers, that kind of thing. What I'm hoping though is that as an organization that's operating at full strength, that Friends group will become the front door for volunteers. That rather than, you know, calling us at the desk and saying, well, I'd love to come in and shelf books, we want people to walk in the front door of the Friends and see the community that surrounds the library.
So that's what I should have done. I should.
No, it's just
Not
we weren't
yet.
there yet. We're
Not
not
yet.
there yet. No, you did exactly what you should have done. But what I'm trying to move this thing in a direction where the Friends become that, where you go to the Friends and you see, well, gosh, there's like 10 things that I could do, and I have these skills, and oh wow, you're looking for someone that can do, you know, web design stuff, or you're looking for someone that can do landscaping. I love doing those things, you know, and then get involved in that way. Or, oh, you have a vacancy on the Friends? I'd love to get involved in that. And especially for people that are newcomers to town, it's an ideal way to get involved. It's a low impact way to get involved and get to know other people that have a shared sense of priorities and values, and to then find out like what else is going on around town, just through, you know, getting the scuttlebutt from being around people of like mind. So I think the idea is to really have that Friends group become the powerhouse that it can be and take on a number of other high priority things that are, you know, we're going to be talking about in the long range plan. For example, you know, where does fundraising for the library, fundraising writ large, not a specific, not the capital campaign or not this or that, but where does fundraising fit within this organization? Who does it? What does it benefit? You know, there has to be a place for that, and there has to be, you know, the Friends are a perfect vehicle. They're a 501c3. They raise money. That's what they do. It's part
So I
of. It's a
should
big
join
part
the
of
Friends. I should join the Friends.
Let me just say this to anyone listening: everyone should join the Friends. Everyone should join the Friends. It costs $15 to join at minimum. You can give more if you like. It's such an easy lift, and if you want to get involved, it is a great way to get involved. You don't have to become a board member. You can show up to a meeting. You can just read the minutes and just get involved in that way.
Or you could become a board member.
You can if there's a vacancy, but it's just like the trustees. There's only so many slots available. But yes, we want to, you know, we want to keep it dynamic. So it was great to have a number of new people there that were interested in it. It's a great way, again, coming back to the ex-trustees that were there, it was an awesome way to get former trustees, people that did so much, you know, with the building project and other things over the years, to get some of those people back and involved in part of the conversation around the library. So that was that was great. And so we had a number of other people that couldn't make it for other logistical reasons, but I'm hoping that even more people will show up to these things, and they're going to be, to be a real highlight of the month, to have a lot of people there and throwing out ideas and volunteering to do things. So from that conversation, I'll just jump off, but the Friends are going to send representatives as a result of this meeting. They're going to send representatives to the open house at Hadley Elementary School, which I believe they were saying that they have done that in past years, but it's probably been 10 years. Yeah, but it's been a long time.
No, it's not been 10 years, but yeah, they have.
Okay, well, whatever it was, it's been a while. And they're going to do that this fall, whenever that, I don't know the date, but they're going to be doing that within the next couple of weeks. A couple of friends are going to go to Hadley Elementary, to an open house to just talk about the library, what we do there, becoming a friend, getting involved.
Is the open house for the elementary school?
It's the elementary, but they're just going to, there are lots of community organizations that have a table and they just talk up what they do, things that you can get involved in. So that just came out of that spontaneously from that conversation, and I thought that was a fantastic development. Okay, moving along, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, actually, one more Friends-related thing. It was brought up at that meeting. The Friends would love to have an official liaison from the trustees, once again, coming to Friends meetings. If there is anyone who is interested in attending those. They're, Wayne, okay.
I've been meaning to join them anyway, so.
Perfect.
This would be a
That would
good
be
boost
awesome.
for me.
In reciprocity, it'd be great to have a friend here.
We
too.
discussed that. That was brought up. And I think, once things get rolling along, it should be a two-way street, and that would be awesome if we had a friend consistently coming to trustees meetings to, to hear what's going on. But between myself being at both meetings, having a trustee, that's a great start. And that would at least get us back to where we were some time ago, I guess,
I'd be happy to do that.
that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention, I'm sorry, this is more than I usually talk about in a month. When we had our staff meeting, it happened to be the day after the special town meeting, or the special town meeting at Hopkins. It was discussed that there was a need, just based on the people that were there. I was there, and kind of what we saw in the town's, in this case, inability to provide childcare, to allow families, adults with children, to attend the town meeting. In the past, they had done that, and we decided that we were going to step up and offer the library as a site for childcare for the town meetings in the fall and in the spring. Just as a matter of course, we have the facility. We should use it in this way. It's a matter of having volunteers and some responsible adults. So we're talking. We have talking with Amy at Park and Rec. Emily in the children's room is involved in this. Jennifer from the town administrator's office, and we're all putting our heads together to find out where we can get the volunteer to get basically honor students and
Or
Key
National
Club.
Honor Society.
Exactly.
Girl
Right.
Scouts have done it in the
Girl
past.
Scouts, exactly. So we're checking in with all of those groups. We're in touch with the superintendent and the principal of Hopkins to make this happen in time for the meeting in October, which, again, I have the date, but you all probably know too, it's going to be in later October, so it's going to be a Thursday. So we're going to have that set up by hook or by crook, so that folks will know that there's something going on here that kids can be occupied with, and not just sitting in a classroom or whatever. But we're going to have, we'll have some activities, we'll have some snacks. We may be able to do things based on age groups. So the younger children will do one activity. We may be able to get a movie going in this room for kids that are a little bit older, and we'll make sure that there's something happening to maximize the amount of people that are able to participate in town meeting.
Just another thing that I love about libraries, always helping, just stepping in and helping people do things, just to be helping. I love it.
It's great to have the space and have the privilege of doing it. One last thing that I'm going to mention, and then I'm going to stop talking. We are going to have this is related to the garden project outside, but it's just this time of year where things are looking a little, actually they look quite lovely, but things are getting, starting to
It's the end of the season.
fall down, and it's time to clean up the garden beds. And what I would like to do, we didn't really do a volunteer garden thing. Jack, you did some volunteering and helped to clean up at the beginning of the season. What I would like to do is put out a call to have people come in at the end of the season and help us clean up, pull weeds, cut things down that don't need to be standing up over the winter, and to throw down some mulch. If we are able to get the volunteer help, then I would like to be even more ambitious than that and do a few things like get out to the magnetic sign out at the street with a bucket of water and some suds and get it cleaned up, possibly clean some of the glass windows.
Cleanup day?
A fall cleanup day at the library. So if we're able to get, half a dozen people, then I know that we can get the garden beds all cleaned up and get mulch down, fresh mulch put down. If we can get 20 people, we may be able to clean the windows and clean up and do things like that.
Are you asking us to organize this?
I'm not asking you to organize it, I'm just making you aware that we're going to do it. And this is something that, we're going to be advertising through the Friends, and just to be aware of it, and just as individuals and volunteers, if you'd like to be a part of that, that would be awesome. And if you can talk it up.
Any rough sense of date?
We're looking at
Mid-October, something like that?
I had put down early October. If you think it hasn't been announced publicly outside of the context of the Friends and this meeting. My tentative date
Is it the pollinator garden?
was October 4th. Yeah,
October 4th? Okay.
If you think, as someone more expert in plant husbandry, that like that's too early, then we can wait a little while, but I don't want to wait too long because I don't want to have to deal with like all the leaves and everything that's going to fall out of the trees if we go past. Does that seem like a good time
No, I
to
think
do
that's
it?
a fine time.
Okay. So that's what we'll shoot for, and I will be checking around with people, and if anything comes up that makes us change it, because there's some big event that I'm not aware of, we'll go from there. But I'm going to shoot for October 4th, and we're going to put up announcements for that, probably starting next week.
I'm at a STEM meeting that day at Gillette Stadium.
Okay.
It's too bad, but yeah, I think that's a fine time to do it.
Okay.
You may want to wait with the mulch until the spring. There could be some value in that.
Yeah.
It won't get overwintered, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
Can I ask 2 quick financial questions?
Oh, of course.
Am I correct in thinking that library computer services, which is budgeted at 4,000, is the consultant person that you use?
It's not any specific thing. You mean as far as the unspent, let's see, library computer services, do you mean the whole budget? Which would...
What is the purpose of library computer?
It's basically everything that's
CW Mars?
That's not CW Mars
Okay.
fee.
That's fine.
So it's if we need to call in a vendor, if we need to buy a cable.
No, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I don't need any more information.
Yeah.
My other quick question is on the capital request, computers and peripherals for staff use.
Yeah.
You have 2 separate years with $5,000 each, and I'm wondering, I mean, along for like right now, you're budgeting a little more than $1,000 per unit. And I don't think there are 10 computers for staff, are there?
There are probably close to that. There's 2 at the front desk, there's 2 in the back office, there's 1 in my office, there's 1 at the children's service desk, there's 3 or 4 laptops, and there's
Okay.
1 or 2 computers in the children's office. So it's close to 10 computers.
Okay.
Some of those are newer than others. The laptops are newer than the desktops. But the desktops are the desktops that are on the computers. They're the same generation as the
Right.
public computers. So they're aging out, and they are going to, at some point something's going to die on us. But it will by 20. I mean, this is again. You can see this is like we're looking at a couple of years out. And actually, this is not right. What do you have? Can you show me your 20? Okay, I have the wrong one. I have the one from last year. So that's what I printed. I printed the wrong one. But yes, we won't be actually going after those items for several years. But they want a 10-year plan.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check.
Yeah, and you can see also on there, but the roof is on there with
Yeah.
question mark, and that's
Because we don't know.
because we don't know. And I spoke with Linda about it, and she thought it was important that it be on the list. And in terms of the discussions that she would have with the actual capital committee, she would decide on how to frame that, because there was no point in putting it on there.
No,
if,
that's fine, that's fine.
We didn't know what the plan was going to be.
So why don't we go to the strategic plan unless somebody has something.
Will you have
spec-
special town meeting results impact next steps?
I know I did.
That happens sooner.
It does happen sooner. It does. Anyone have any comments about special town meeting, or does anyone want to propose that trustees collectively undertake any action or write some sort of piece for the newspaper or whatever else? I'm afraid I don't have any ideas necessarily.
I had suggested there might be value in having some sort of a subcommittee just to talk about messaging, just to talk about positive messages, because I think that's something that's happening at the town level anyway. That
Well, it's like 10 days away.
Yeah, well,
Have the
Time's of
friends,
the essence.
did the friends, your hand was raised.
We were away for the meeting where the first vote was held.
Mhm.
And I've understood that it was overwhelmingly no.
It was about 100 difference.
It was 2/3 against 1/3 in favor.
Well, it was 250 to 350.
I would say it was decisive, but it wasn't, I mean, you know,
And someone else told me that the likelihood in a private vote is that the no's will be stronger.
that was a private vote. That was a private vote. It was a secret ballot.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was not raised hand, which I was actually quite grateful about.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good decision by the town moderator to make a ballot vote.
Yeah, well, we were out of town, so I couldn't vote
Yeah.
then. So do you think the vote would be the same in
Not necessarily.
So it depends if people vote, right?
It depends on the turnout for the election.
Yeah.
the? Right. I know, I'm
And
just
s-
wondering what people are
So I think
predicting
that,
in terms of how that will affect the budget for the library. Is there, if it doesn't pass, how is that going to affect the library?
Not positively. There's no way of knowing. There's no, I mean, right now, we don't have
I see.
we don't know yet. It's too early to say, but it's not going to be a good thing. It won't be a good thing.
Yeah.
I will say that, I mean, you know, we've had a lot of people that have come in and that want to talk about it. I mean, we try to be like, well, you know, we don't really get involved in whether you should or shouldn't as staff, you know, as employees. But I mean, people love to, you know, they want to talk about it. And I know that they're, you know, just from hearing people talking about it, that their reasonings were, you know, pretty complicated. It's a pretty complicated question. I think
Yes.
it goes beyond simple self-interest.
Oh, yes.
It's beyond just, you know, there are a lot of things that that people are upset about. Any number of things. There's a lot of things. It's just not a simple question.
It's a big ask.
And it's a big ask, yeah.
And for a lot of people, that'll be a crushing ask.
Could be.
Yeah.
so my question or thought was, is there a way we can help supply neutral information as a library? I don't, from like, you know, viewing, like, were there documents created that we could have out publicly for folks to understand the implications? Like, what could we do to be an information source,
Well,
which
one
is what a
thing-
library is, right?
One
Like,
thing, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like why I was thinking like it would be good to have a conversation like this where we come up with, and when I say messaging, I don't necessarily mean messaging. This is the kind of messaging that really is like perennially important and relevant.
Mhm.
It's not a political message. It's the message of like, well, what does
Mhm.
your library do? Because again, we do, in spite of the fact that we, you know, every year we go to the finance committee and we go to various. We sit in various contexts and talk about what we do and how busy we are and how many people came this year versus last year, which is, it's more, people still have the, you know, misconceptions about no one uses the library or the only people that use the library are this or that. And I think that, you know, coming up with like positive messages about what the library does is valuable, whether it's an election, not an election. It's just what we need to do all the time.
And it's especially wise over these next few years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would be a little worried that in this atmosphere and the pressure of this election, it might not be wise for us to get involved.
We are involved.
Well,
I mean, our budget will be.
We can't help but be involved by the budget, but to do something extra to urge people to vote one way
We
or
don't,
the
we
other.
can't, we're not really allowed to do that. We're not, I mean, and I'm not suggesting that we would do that, but I think that people need to know from all, and going back to this, so one of the things that the town administrator's office is working on, and Jennifer Saders-James, the procurement officer and other things, is working on is what's called a citizens academy, to simply talk about what departments do, what do town employees do, what value do they bring to the life of the town. And we obviously we're going to be a part of that. We may be hosting some of those events. They'll be televised here or shot here. And And as I said, that's something that we should be doing at any time of the year, at all times, because again,
Yes,
people
that's
people value the library, but it's not the only thing in town. It's not the only issue in town. They're not voting yes or no based on that.
When you get elected as a library trustee, one of your prime responsibilities is to advocate for the library.
Yes.
So,
Well, that's
so
the difference between you guys and me. So,
right. So our job is to advocate for the library. Like,
Sure.
so if we're not advocating for the budget that the library needs, we're not advocating for the library. That doesn't mean if the town chooses to vote against the override, we then will have to make the right decisions for the budget we have as responsible citizens and trustees.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, our job is to advocate for the library.
So what could we say factually to advocate for the library in the next week and a half or 2 weeks?
I think that comes down to, again, correcting certain misconceptions about what does and does not go on at the library, who uses it, how many people use it, just facts, simple facts. We do know that there are a lot of, that again, members of the community can make they're completely free to make positive statements about things that they value,
Sure.
such as the library, and encouraging folks to, to say one way or the other, what do you find valuable in library services? Again, that's even outside of an election, that's important for people to speak up and say, I value this, and just remind their neighbors that, because again, the election is complicated. There may be like 20 different complicated issues that they
Yes.
need to weigh, but we need to do our part to talk about why this one is important so that people make it part of their mental calculus about how, what they're going to do when they
So
go and
can
vote.
we say about how this vote will affect the library specifically?
I can't give it, well, the problem is I
Yeah.
can't give a dollar amount
Yeah.
because we don't know.
One of the select board members, David Phil, stood up and said, we haven't figured that out yet. And,
That's what I thought, so,
because they don't know how things will unfold. So he very publicly said that, and it's probably accurate.
But
so it's hard, in that context, it's hard to advocate for something in this circumstance.
well, so I'll give a little pushback and say, we could start, or the Friends could, or we could, the Friends have money, start a campaign where we just talk about what value libraries have. You could have, I'll use an example because I can't think of anything else right at this 8 o'clock moment, but lawn signs that just talk about value of the library, like different things that are a value of the library. Like, I know we used to use the term of how much of your tax dollars go versus how many books you'd buy at Barnes and Noble, right? Like, just like various facts about, I loved that fact about how much of your tax money goes to the library versus how much it would
How much
cost
you would
to buy
spend to go buy a book.
10 books at Barnes and Noble. It's an amazing fact, right? Like, if we pulled up facts like that, where we're just kind of reiterating the value of the library when people vote and think about the value of the library. I know we only have a few weeks, but it doesn't take that much to run those facts in social media or lawn signs or emails to friends, just reminding them what the library means to you without saying, you have to vote this way.
Yeah.
But I just want you to consider what the library means to you when you vote. I agree it is complicated. And I myself was like, also sat there and thought about a lot of things before I voted. I wish people would be civil to each other, but I think there is a value to letting people know what the library does.
Yeah. The bottom line for me is that almost no matter what happens, we're kind of under the gun, because we've been going to Finance Committee every year with our budget, And we've been explaining how we were, oh, you know, this year we were 10% busier by this metric, or 15% busier by this metric year over year. And when we go, you know, and the recommendations are made about what is a priority and what isn't a priority, the library has not been a priority. So the business of the library, the success of the business continues to increase, where by every metric, more and more people are coming in and using the services and the resources. And yet, the number of full-time equivalent people, and, you know, this was brought up at the town meeting, one of the public comments was about full-time equivalents. They're hiring people like crazy over there. I don't know what's going on around town, but I know that in the library, it's the same, essentially the same number of people doing, at this point, 10, or what are we, 5 years after moving into this building, we're easily doing twice the volume of work that we were doing when we were in the old building with the same number of bodies doing the work. Now, we have done everything that we can to bring in volunteers to do, you know, to lighten that load, but at the end of the day, you get to a point where you can't just rely on volunteers, because volunteers are not employees. They don't necessarily come to work on time when you need them every day. You know, it's just a different relationship with a volunteer than it is with an employee.
Right.
Level of expertise.
Yeah, the level of expertise
like,
and everything else. So
right.
it doesn't, in some
you're
ways,
valued.
we love
Yeah.
the volunteers. We couldn't do it without the volunteers. But again, they're not strictly a replacement for employees. And especially when it comes to the specialization of employees that you hire to do a specific task, to oversee a specific department, or a specific program. So we've gotten nowhere with that. So when the town says, well, we're also looking at now cutting your budget, something is going to have to give. And so we want to know, that's just a fact. That's not an opinion about like how you vote, but the fact of the matter is, if the budget goes down, the service is going to have to be lessened in some way, shape, or form, because we can't continually do an increasing amount of volume of work.
We can't do the same with even less.
And with even less, it can't happen. So there's going to have to be something that becomes unavailable to the public, and they need to be aware of what that is. The problem for me in quantifying that is that I don't have numbers before me to make a plan saying you need to figure out how to operate the library with 10% less, 20% less, whatever it's going to be. At that point, I can make a plan and tell you, well, you know what that's going to mean? We're going to try to do as good of a job over the course of 5 days being open as opposed to being open 6 days. Because that's something that we can handle and still get all of the other work done that we have to do, the paperwork, the reporting, everything else, sitting in a meeting, whatever. But I don't know until I have facts and figures in front of me. But I can say it will be less. There will be an impact and it will be felt. And I think that's what all of the town departments are struggling with right now.
I wish they would all do that.
Well, again, it's hard to tell someone, what's it going to mean? What is it going to mean? How much less? How much worse of a service is going to be? We, at the library, want the services to be as good as they always are. But if there's going to be a degradation, it's just going to be in the volume and the availability of the services. That's what we can do. We're not going to do a worse job. That is my bottom line, is we're going to do as good of a job as we've ever done, but we may not be able to do it 6 days a week. We have been going through the survey process and people asking us, well, why aren't you open on Sundays? I can tell you why we're not open on Sundays, and it has everything to do with that and nothing to do with our unwillingness to do it. We'd be open 24 hours a day if that's what the people wanted and that's what the people would pay for, but that is not where we're at. So if it comes to a cut, something's going to have to be less, and we're going to do our best to remain as good as we've been on the days that we can provide it, and we'll find the right balance, but that's the bottom line.
How are you suggesting we get that out to the public?
Well, I mean, I said I didn't really have like a plan at this moment, but
It's a very short time.
This is why I think
right,
we should have
10 days, but
we should hash this out in like some other separate. We should have
right.
just a conversation where we throw ideas
right.
around and figure out what is the messaging, who's giving this message, who's giving this message, and who's giving this message.
I would love to see the
my
school
comment.
system do that, police department do that.
Well, that's outside.
right,
That's
and
outside the scope.
and that's up to them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the fire department seems to be pretty active on their side. The schools have not been, right? Like the schools have not really been active at all. So then the question is, what do we do? I'm willing to meet, to talk about it. If anyone else is, I am. Even if we had like a Zoom meeting one night or something.
That would be great. I mean, it doesn't even have to just be trustees. It could be, members of the Friends. It could be anyone with
Right.
an interest around the library, because everyone has their own angle on how to frame this and, what's appropriate to say and what's, not appropriate for them. Again, I'm trying to just be cut and dried about the
I agree
things.
with you. I
Yeah.
think it's not
Absolutely.
about
I'm not arguing with you.
telling
Yeah.
someone how to vote necessarily. It's about raising awareness
Yeah.
of what library money does.
So how do we do it?
Well, I think we have a separate meeting and
We're gonna
get
we're gonna
folks
have
and get a plan.
Yeah, we're gonna get a few people together in a room, we're gonna have a bull session about it, and we'll come up with some ideas, and then
Okay.
we'll try to run with them as quickly and execute them as well as we can in the short amount of time that we have to do it.
Yeah, I would like to see the schools do that too. I mean, we have all these schools with one music teacher, for instance. For elementary through high school, band, chorus, everything that has to do with music, there's one music teacher. That's ridiculous. And I'm sure there are other departments in the schools that
Yeah.
are also, I'd love to see them say something about that. But I'm not on their board, but I would happily meet with you to see if there's anything that can be said.
We'll try to come up with a time to to hash it out and come up with some ideas.
If we do it soon, maybe other departments would see that and do something like it.
Okay, can we move on to long-range planning real quick?
So I just want to start by saying when we left here last time, it felt like it was overwhelming to kind of chew in information without a visual. So my special educator mind went ahead and made a slideshow for us, which is up here now. So that as we talk about the long-range plan, we have it in front of us and we can think about it. Patrick started us off with, there's 3 sections to the long-range plan right now. This is the first, staffing, services, and collections. And the overall goal for the staffing, services, and collections, can you go back
Oops, I'm sorry.
to the top? Thank you. Was to develop go ahead.
I can't see the slideshow.
Oh, because I haven't shared.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, go
Well,
to
we
the big
can.
green, yeah. And there you go. And maybe you want to consider running it as a slideshow?
Except it's in Google Docs, so I don't know how to.
Just hit where it says slideshow,
At the
up top next to share. There you go. Right there.
So I thought I'd start with the overall goal and then we'll kind of let Patrick go through each of the objectives under this goal. So the overall goal for, and I thought maybe we could just do staffing and services this week. So the overall goal was to develop a robust staffing and service model to meet elevated patron expectations and increase traffic.
I just want to, before we move on away from this slide, I think, obviously the increased traffic is a huge problem, but the other thing that is coming along with being in this beautiful new building that is so well appointed is that people are coming in and they don't necessarily make a differentiation between the Hadley Public Library and say the Jones Library, which is 5 times larger with 5 times as many departments and specialized collections and things like that. We're trying not to disappoint them, but this is what we're confronting, that people are sort of seeing it and being like, oh, well, you're doing all the same things that I can do at the Forbes or at the Jones, much bigger and more well-resourced organizations than Hadley.
So remembering this is a 3 to 5 year plan, not all of these things, these would take 3 to 5 years to happen so Lynn, if you can move on to our first objective, under staffing, services, and collections. Take it away, Patrick, first objective.
So the first objective, library will implement adjustments to hours of operation based on feedback received in surveys, focus groups, and other means. The action items here, I mean, obviously, we got a lot of interesting feedback when we go and look at the analysis of what people ask for. And I actually, I don't have the paperwork, but like what I came away with was that we already were generally serving the hours that people felt were most important to them. I didn't see like any major.
There was nothing major.
There was nothing major that we really could address to change anything. I do think that it's possible that we might offer more morning hours. I do think that there's demand for that, for more, for us to be uniformly open from 10 in the morning, basically every day rather than just some days. But the problem with a schedule like that, if we're going to maintain evening hours, to have a long day like that essentially is going to be like 10 hours long. No one staff person can work 10 hours. We'd have to come up with a split shift kind of situation where some people are here in the morning and some people are late.
Well, the
It's
action
complicated.
item is to conduct the analysis. So first, we're going to conduct an analysis. We're going to see where we are. This is, remember, a 3 to 5 year range, right? Like we may be facing cuts and open less, and like
Right.
this isn't looking at like next month. It's looking at the next few years. So really, this is saying in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to look at the patterns of usage, expand, and see where we go.
So do you two have any idea on how you conduct an in-depth analysis? How will you approach this?
Well, so we are able to, we track the number of people that are coming into the building as it is. We're able to see both circulation, I mean, we can get from CW Mars, we can get circulation data. When do people borrow things? Like what are the borrowing patterns? What days, what hours?
Do you have data on when people arrive?
Yes.
We have,
X number of people at this
yes.
hourly gap?
And it's broken down into general age ranges of, adult, young adult, children, and also things like computer usage and phone calls.
And to answer your question a little bit, Jack, this is also where we as a board go out and say, okay, who are we looking for as volunteers? We would love someone with a data background that can help us. If we're thinking of this as a 5-year goal or 3 to 5 year goal, then we're knowing as a board what we're looking for, how we're growing as a board, what skills we're looking for as people come on to help us, right? If this is a task we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we do find that there's some, that there is a specific demand, I mean, I'm trying to remember how many years ago this was, but like probably 7 or 8 years ago, we went from not being open on Mondays at all to adding Monday to the available hours of service. And part of that was in response to a very reasonable demand, particularly from parents, about having after-school hours on Monday. Because we could have added like morning hours or whatever, but it was important for parents that we be open 5 days a week for kids to come over here after school, which up until whatever it was, 7 or 8 years ago, we were not.
And Fridays were originally added, Friday nights were added for video.
Yeah.
So right now, we're just looking at
The plan.
these things, the plan, and we're refining this plan
Mhm.
before we, okay, so,
So we can submit it to the MBLC and say, here's what we're going to be looking at. One of the things about having a plan is that it keeps all groups in line, right? Like,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, we should just go on.
Go ahead. Objective 2.
Library will improve access to meeting spaces as a community resource and a common good. So this one gets complicated because, well, we've already covered a lot of this and just in the conversation about adding the after-hours access, but this is something that obviously we've been wanting to do for 5 years. This is not a new development. It's something that's already been kind of baked in the cake.
And really what we're asking for right now is, do we believe this is a good objective? The action items will be built in the next 3 to 5 years. Like, do we agree that this is a good objective for the library? We had focus groups, we had surveys, they all came up with this, right? And the question is, as trustees, do we agree that objective 2, the library will improve access to meeting spaces as a community resource and a common good? Do we feel like it's a good goal for us?
Right
objective?
now, are we refining these? Are we going to vote on these tonight?
No, we're gonna vote on the whole plan eventually.
Okay, so this is just exposure to this document right now.
Yeah.
And we can go online and look at it,
And I can send you the slideshow too.
and then, okay. And then at some point,
But I think
will
we
vote on
have the
this.
slideshow.
Did I share it with everyone?
Well, I think maybe you did, Patrick?
No, I thought I
Someone.
did.
I
It's
had a
peanuts.
chance to go through all of this.
So, and also when we vote on it, we don't vote on the action items. We vote on the objectives, and then each year, the group comes back and builds action items.
Our group.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, and this is so interesting because when you compare it to the prior location, to the current location, I mean, everything changed. This whole opportunity for all this meeting space. You really didn't
Yeah,
have
I mean,
anything.
we didn't have anything, and so this is obviously, this is one of the more complicated components of this long-range plan, because, you know, we built these meeting spaces without knowing how they would be used. We assumed that people would use them, people said that they would use them, but then we actually watched them use them. And, you know, for example, I would say within the first year and a half of being in the building and having people in here post-COVID, the local history room was never supposed to be a reservable space. It was supposed to be here for local history researchers, but the demand was so great that we needed to add another space that people could come in and use, because it was constantly, you know, it was constantly, the one small space was constantly in use. So we started to say, well, you can use that room, because there was far more demand for that than specifically local history researchers. So now we treat local history research as just another use of the room.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come, and that's exactly
Yes.
what's happened.
And I mean, if we'd known it, we would have asked for like 4 meeting rooms, and, you know, smaller, like single occupancy, like just a room for 2 people at most, because that's, by and large, that's what we're doing, 2 people meetings.
So the third objective is to bolster staffing at the main point of service. This came from a lot of what we heard from patrons, we had a night where we invited a lot of people in, heard feedback from groups. We went through kind of a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and there was a lot of talking about like the staffing at the front desk and how much people use that staffing here.
And it was a real range of clients who came in for these meetings.
Very
Yeah, so-
healthy.
Is this also something that staff members raised in
Okay.
conversations with them?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, no.
I
staff-
suspected so, but
All of this, I mean, I mean, you know it from being here as much as you are, that front desk, it doesn't really matter who the patron group is. It's really the first point of contact when people come in the door, and even if they don't have businesses at that desk, you by and large, you interact with a lot of those people, even if it's just to say hello, or
Yeah.
where's the bathroom, where's the
Yes.
children's room, it's over there. You know, we're interacting with so many people at that point, and if there's only one person there at a time, it quickly gets overwhelming at peak times.
So the fourth objective is to continue to develop staff roles to meet the challenges of service specialization.
And so what that means in short is that, you know, when I first started here, well, not when I first started here, but when I took over as director, you know, what we have done, one of the secrets of our success to do more with not a lot, with basically an amount that stays static, is that we have a lot of people doing more than they typically would in a library setting. In a smaller library, more people tend to do more things.
you're a generalist
You become a
rather than a
generalist.
specialist.
But as the service, and again, as the expectations evolve for this library, we find that it is unavoidable that people are going to have to become more specialized in their work. And we've sort of seen that where, you know, in the past, you know, children's staff spent a lot of time, like in the old library and at the beginning of the occupation of this new library, we would find that we'd have to, as a matter of necessity, we'd have children's staff spending a good deal of time on the circulation desk. And that was imperfect because it left people being pulled away from what they really should be doing, which is providing services to children. This is an example. There are a lot of examples like that, though, where we're feeling like we need to really move into, you know, what a bigger library does, which is to satisfy more complex needs and expectations of the public. And in order to do that well, we can't all be generalists. We need to be willing to do general things, but we need to be better at some higher level types of tasks.
Well, and you also have to figure out the dynamics of Hadley. As Hadley ages, you know, what you have for older adults, for
Absolutely.
example.
Yeah, that is a key
And
constituency.
so that's where we get action items every year, right? Like thinking about those things.
Yeah.
Cultivate new volunteers and formalize tasks and roles.
So this just goes along with what we've been doing all along, but developing the potential of this source of just willing and able, labor to come in and do things, to be trained to do things, and then hopefully because they enjoy the work, they continue to do it for, not just a year, not just a season, but they, come in and help us over the course of many years.
So our time is getting tight for tonight, but
Yes.
I'm just wondering, the senior tax abatement workers,
Yep.
do you have quite a number of those?
Two.
Two.
We have currently two, and I don't really know the current status of that program. Obviously, there is no, the head of the senior center usually oversees that. They're sort of the point of contact for that. And at the moment,
Violet is the interim.
yes, so I'm not exactly sure the status. I'm sure that it will continue on in the, as is. How it might change, because could we use more tax abatement volunteers? Probably.
Can
Well,
they were
someone
available
define
to
that
us.
for me?
What's that?
Senior tax abatement worker?
So
what is it?
in lieu of paying their full tax bill, some people can apply hours to kind of work down the bill?
Right, there's a maximum number of hours that can be worked in a year. It can, I don't remember the figure.
There is a number of hours that need to be worked during the year.
For the
If
library?
you, no,
Anywhere.
in several places in town,
Or not anymore.
where you get a $1,000 reduction in your taxes if you work X number of hours, which essentially comes out to $15 an hour, but you also have to meet income guidelines.
And that's taxes to town of Hadley?
Correct. Real estate
Thank you.
taxes. You're welcome.
So we currently have 2 people in that capacity.
The next objective is the last one we're going through tonight. Consistently review and revise the library's collection development guidelines and adjust priorities in light of developing trends.
So this is essentially just a way of saying, are the collections that we have, do they continue to be relevant in view of, new trends? Do people, by looking at what we loan out, we can sort of see what's in demand, what's not in demand. Do people still borrow DVDs? Surprisingly, they do. The demand for that has not plummeted. It doesn't grow necessarily, but it hasn't necessarily declined either. There's still constituencies that find value in coming in and borrowing DVDs. It isn't the norm anymore, but there are a lot of people that are just like, I don't want to do streaming. I don't want to pay, that much money to have access to those services. We also have offered in the last few years streaming video services for people to do that. So again, finding the right balance of what the collections are that we offer to make sure that people feel like they're getting what they want from a contemporary library, that we're not completely out of step, but we're also offering something that's relevant to the community that we're in, not a theoretical community.
Do you have a collection of CDs?
We have music CDs, yeah, and
Would you like some more? I have.
you can always donate CDs. I can't necessarily add them all, but they, the ones that we can't add, they go into the library book sale. People donate CDs all the time.
I have some
People donate
wonderful
records,
classical
donate all
music
kinds of stuff, yeah.
CDs that I would be happy to
That would be
donate.
great. Yeah, and we'll add some
I'll
of them
bring
to the
them in.
collection. I guarantee some of them will be added to the collection. Yep.
So this is all we're going over tonight. Staffing, services, and collections, 6 objectives. Thank you.
Question. If there are comments, do you want us to send those to you and Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
What are some of the other major headlines here?
There's
You-
3 major headlines.
Okay,
There's
lifelong
staffing,
learning.
services, and collections, lifelong learning,
Yeah,
and then the last one is
Okay.
Friends,
Organization.
organizational resiliency. Those are the three main things we'll cover.
Okay.
And this does help to see it. It's especially impressive when you open it up big, Lynn. No, it really is. Yeah.
I mean, I know
like
how
Mount
to
Rushmore.
measure in,
It must be all
I think
true.
information presented
Okay.
differently just feels different, right? Like, so that's why.
Yeah.
I never like to admit I like large print, but I do.
I'm with you. Yeah.
do we have anything else?
I'd like to applaud whoever put that together.
I
That's
think that was me, thank you.
really good job.
That was well done. At one of these upcoming meetings, it's just interesting following along with the emails I get from Leverett Library. They have a wonderful way to send them out to 50% of the town. But it's amazing what they do, and you know, I forward you some bits and pieces of them, but they really do well with that. But I don't know if that can be one of the upcoming items, or however you want to handle it up for the agenda.
Are you asking about the sharing information, library information with the town, or
I think
the
the-
kinds of things that they are doing?
Well, I think the bigger issue, and I know we've talked about it in the past, but just the marketing potential.
Sure. I am in favor of that. But do we have staff to do it?
We have friends though. Friends are well situated to do that. They put out a newsletter. They're already doing that, a lot of that, and they're already underwriting most of that programming, so they have ownership of it, a lot of it, and we're able
But
to.
they're only sending stuff to friends. They're only sending stuff to 200 people. And that's not as broad an audience, and there is still an obligation on staff to provide a lot of the material. So
Absolutely. But the Friends are a great vehicle, and it's a good reason to be. You don't necessarily need to be a paid member to see Friends information. I mean, the goal, in my mind, the goal should be that a lot of what the Friends do, whether or not you're a member of the Friends, you know, if they're doing a talk on Saturday afternoon, that information doesn't just go to the Friends, it goes to the public. And so the point is to find a way to get the Friends message out about Friends underwritten programming. It's a feedback loop that brings more people into the Friends because they know about the good work more broadly in the community.
Is that strictly through Facebook? Is that how they're?
No, it's all, they have an email list, they have other means.
I have been over the past month intending to join the Friends, and I noticed that I don't do it, and I'm not on their list. I don't get their information, and it's a simple thing for me to do to contact them and to join, but
Yeah, I'll get you the form. There's just a paper form. It's
Yeah.
low tech. I mean, you can do it on the website too, but there's a paper
Right.
form. You can take it, you can look at it and say, yeah, this is for me.
but
And
I'd
it's
love to
very
see
easy.
their information
Yep.
go out to people who are not necessarily members of them.
Yeah.
They're a wonderful organization, but they could be the public face of the library in many
Yeah.
ways.
I think my goal would be, like Leverett, to have half the town be active members of the Friends.
Yeah,
It's not an outrageous goal.
yeah.
I think we lost Audrey.
Oh, no.
I think she checked out.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion to.
Can I second that?
All in favor?
All
Thank
right.
you.
So here, let me just show